Well, my goodness. That was quick. Right from the SMDR, boom. Yeah. Pretty much both targets and immediate. Both targets and immediate. And now, yeah, the question is, yesterday ended up bullish. This obviously looking a little, assuming that we actually close down here. Now, if the 15 like closes above and that's just a liquidity grab, then, well, whatever, right? Strong possibility we take this and potentially even this one. Right, that is tons of accumulation, potential manipulation, very possibly. But that is urgency straight out of the gate. My goodness. $80 points straight down and continuation. Yeah, but like Pix was saying, I did not take that. I hit it off of this engulfing and did not hold for this. Should still have runners, but man. New 5. Not exactly any area of interest, but we'll see. Whew. We wait and see if we actually got the juice to take 600 or not. It'd be nasty if they just V-bottom this up back up into here. They're having some troubles right now. But even if it does rally, I don't think I'm interested in longs. Even though you could argue, like, you know, Jackson Hole, maybe people will fade every violent movement. And I think that's a valid idea. That's where the Fed meet. It's a big event with Powell and my goodness, they're holding this up pretty well here. I wouldn't put any weight on it at all if the 5-minute hadn't swept. It's not good enough for me to go long, even though I can understand, especially if this ends up being a stall candle, a little bit of a lift. Can completely understand if you guys did go long there aggressively. Maybe we'll even trade back up into here. You got 7 minutes until the 15-minute candle closes. So there's that. You're probably looking at the midpoint of this 5. Probably get a reaction out of here at 719-ish. Assuming it trades up to there. I'm not involved. But the Jackson Hole is the annual, I think it's economic meeting. But they always discuss inflation there. So it's usually very, very sparse trading until then. Morning, Astrophile. Good morning. Good morning. Hopefully this doesn't dump from here. You got a 5-minute imbalance now above this high. Surrounded by bullish candles, fair enough. But if there's some selling and then we trade into the midpoint of this, around that daily low, we very well could continue lower, which I think would be fair. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. The caveat would be like, if the daily wanted to sweep and fail, this is exactly how it would do it. That's a beautiful outside candle. But right up into our area of interest. We'll see if this gives a major reaction. This is the area it's got to hold. Right, so you very well could stab back down into this and then that would hold. But I'm going to sit on my hands and wait. I don't like really expecting a violent movement here unless they're really scaling in. But this is the area where I would expect a reaction from. We've now tapped back into the daily. Not really a wild fan of this aggressive buying. But if there's a major reaction here, we probably run underneath this low and then we take these lows and beyond. We'll find out pretty quick. Ooh! Speaking of, probably into this at least. Very hesitant to short here, but this is the last area of interest that would expect a reaction from. $9.42, here's our 15. Haven't taken anything long. I can fully understand if you have. This looks dangerous to me on multiple fronts. And again, that sort of wombo idea I think that trades down to here. If you get a violent movement, then you might expect a little bit lower. Oh, ES has already ran the highs. ES has already ran here figuratively. I gotta make that. How do I make that? How do I make them both? God. Canvas. Oh, I have a template. Oh, that's disgusting. Nope. Nope. This could get ugly. This could get really, really ugly. Morning, Demetrius. There you go. You wanted the Wombo? The 32.75? I didn't hit it either. I think that the continuation candle would have been all right, at least for the movement back down, and then this is a gift. Flipped again. Yeah, they are not playing around, are they? They're not playing around at all. But that would have worked out really, really nicely. I thought I was looking at the synchronicity with the S. Ooh. Do we get new lows? 60, 25, 60, 60, still 60s. There's no way they leave that. They are buying a lot, but there's no way they leave that. Morning, Tigo. What's going on, buddy? Now, this is the fun thing. Like, all of our objectives are done. We are bearish heavily. We've got a major Fed meeting tomorrow. And I mean major, major. Like, probably the biggest one of the year. When was it last year? It was August 22nd, 2024. There it goes, finally. So, if we go to the daily... yeah, would have been NQ. It would have been Spoos. There it is, right there. It's about a 500-point day, but also like coming off of massive consolidation, and then boom. So we can't expect quite the violence. Today we would not. This is quite a bit more violent than expected. Quite a bit. ES is not following suit. More than Andrew. Right, like we very well could hit this, but this is, again, this is super surprising. Oh, and heavy. And heavy. I didn't get any sort of entry in here other than an aggressive one. I would have looked for something like that. That would have been good. It's not really my style to sell strength and hold, even though, like, in theory, you could hold above this candle as your stop and be fine. I like, especially in these environments, I expect a little bit more liquidity movement. So I would have expected this and didn't get it. And here we are. Another 5-minute candle opening in 40 seconds. What do you think the chances are that they do us dirty and this closes up in here? Ten seconds. Yeah, I think that's a really good intuitive price action long. For sure, right? You get your failing, you get your 5-minute sweep. And, multiple attempts to fail. This one then traded through. So, I mean, I would have looked at something like that there. Or even this. And then essentially you're saying whereabouts should it go up to, and you got your midpoint of it about here, which is the daily low as well. So a lot of liquidity. Not to mention we just blasted through. You probably got the midpoint of this 5-minute imbalance as well, right? So there's a lot of targets higher. So if that's your style and that makes sense to you, these sort of reversals off of price action, you have to understand if you're in retracement mode versus if you're expecting this to be manipulation or not. And I mean, the exit will probably be your best decision that you made. ES still chopping around, by the way. Put that up there so you guys can see it. ES still in chop. There's your 15 on NQ. And again, sort of expecting it to trade maybe even back up into here. I think that's possible. Orders really speeding up, so caution. That was a quick long. Looking to see if it can trade into here. I'm already break even. Not giving this a ton of time. And if this is going to be a 15-minute sweep, I think that at minimum we have to trade up into here anyways. Even if it wants to continue onwards. Here we are. And I'm flat now, just in case. Don't really trust this price action. Anything long, I'm looking at retracement. But I'm also gauging the strength of the day. Right? Like, or the personality rather. Frying at both ends is right. You've got a pretty decent bear channel. But this is all underneath the daily low. So if we're going to manipulate, this would be pretty good of running out early longs. If we could target that high, then you might get something like this. And that would be disastrous. And if we're going to continue higher, well, that would be very, very interesting now, wouldn't it? Look at this. Right? So there was a couple of questions. There's a couple of questions that that were asked on the CSD video. And I think this is important stuff because we don't know if the market really is going to hit this and crater. And that's the area of the pullback. We don't know if this is going to pull back and go on a rocket ship, and all-time highs are actually projected to be at like 25,000. Right? We have no idea. So what do? We monitor how the movements come in. So if you've got strong bearish movement, right? Or even something like this, right? So very, very strong bearish movement. And our expectation is something like this, right? For a flip, cool. But if we get this instead, right? So we get a flip, we then trade back in. Maybe we don't even trade back into the midpoint. Maybe it's expansionary and we trade back in barely to here, which ends up being the SNDR, cool. And then we get this. When we're here, and let's say hypothetically that this is the midpoint of the current zone. We don't know if this is going to provide, or this flip is going to do something like that and then die. We don't, do we? What do we know? We know that this is an area of decision making. So why is that important? It's important because now here, we monitor the reaction. And we monitor the reaction for a very specific reason. We want to know if this is the higher time frame movement that we're expecting, or this is the higher time frame movement that we're expecting. We don't know which way it's going to go necessarily. We can theorize based off the flip, but we know there's going to be a major movement. So if this high gives us a move that goes like this, are we expecting this high to go or this low? We're expecting this high to go. Definitely this one, because this is a lower time frame movement after a flip that's occurred. Right? Then we look here, or maybe it's inside of this, who knows? And we get our flip. Well, now we're saying this is go time and we're expecting this. So this to me is lethargic as shit to a structural area of interest on our 4 hour. Whether we take this liquidity or not, we still have not flipped on the 4-hour time frame. If we do flip on the 4-hour time frame, we would likely have one day being extremely strong. That could be Jackson Hole, who knows? And then hopefully we'll get something like this, and that will clean up all of that. Alternatively, if we don't flip and we don't have to, then we just do this and then we drop, and then we do this and then we drop. I mean, I would expect some sort of a rally at some point, and then that would trade maybe into the middle of this, and that would be a 4-hour flip and a break in structure as well. Here's your 15 and your 5. Good morning. What's up? All right. Love for Les in the chat. I love it. Hey, Frank. Morning, Tanushi, Michael, and Man Bear. I don't know if I said hello to you, gentlemen. Bear back in 1 second. Hopefully this doesn't just drop. All right. ES looks like it wants to target those highs. There's not really anything that I really see that I'm terribly interested in. We don't have any sort of 5-minute imbalances. We've got a valid low on a 5. I like that. You know, I like that. This is your 5-minute low. So would expect that to get taken at minimum, and it just did. And this is kind of your textbook short as well from, pardon? Trading view. Just deleting candles randomly. Thank you very much. Do we have them all? 370. Yeah, we got them. Right. So again, flip. This could be a trade back in to leave. It might not be, but I think that the area that that does make a major decision, we want to be risking off of either way. Right, which is the theory that people are shorting into here from. Right. You got your 5-minute valid low. We're sweeping underneath this 5-minute candle. I think this is dangerous if this movement continues, but people are also shorting the flip. A couple of bearish 15-minute candles. Sitting on my hands. Sitting on me hands. And a little bit of a lift while ES takes the highs. This is kind of a no man's land. Sure, you got the origin here, fine, but like I don't risk off of those once they've been mitigated. People will look at this imbalance, I suppose, and I think that's fair, but this to me was already dealt with. It already made a new high. Right? So if I'm looking and I'm looking at this, we haven't quite reached that there. Not that it has to, I suppose, but that would be an area of interest. People will be buying the 5-minute low, which is pretty much the best part of this. And then if this really wants to provide a reversal on the 15, then let's go. All right, ES has already taken the highs. NQ having a hell of a time. Lots of sell pressure that's achieved nothing so far. I think at the very least we should take the high of the breaker, but we'll see. Nothing I really like so far. Had this taken this low, I'd be a lot more interested in risking off of this candle. I think it's still all right, if only because I don't like how this is reacting from the short side. Like this should be tapping back in and leaving, and instead we're getting expansion. So we'll see what they end up doing. If you did go long there, you're obviously quite happy to let this sit, and ES is flying as a result. I think, you know, I put VWAP on the chart just for sort of analytical reasons, not anything I've ever really traded off of. It's just been interesting to see how it's reacted to it so well in higher time frame consolidation. And price action wise, you get a candle like this after this, that should lead to a short squeeze, and it did. Again, I didn't take anything, I'm waiting. Right, straight off. So, and this is kind of why I have it on the chart, just to kind of gauge the reaction. Nothing that I'm shorting against, but this very well could send us back down. All right, so here's your 5. There's your 15. Woo! You very well could get all the way up here in the 40s. Especially if ES wants to continue its ascent to London and Asia highs. And then potentially even the afternoon highs of yesterday. Mercy. So we'll see the reaction that we get. Can't go long off this candle. We consider something down here. But what'll end up happening is this will usually provide a break in structure first, and then if we return back down to it, we can go long. I wouldn't really like it if it, I would like it, but I think it's a lot stronger, and you would expect this move to continue on above this high at 31.25 first before it pulls back to here. Otherwise, this is just consolidation. We want to be responsible for something. It doesn't mean that we can't expect a reaction from it, but systematically we want to be risking off of areas that make major price movements happen. We green so far, lads? How we doing? Shorts out of the gate. Violent shorts, mind you. Retest shorts. One and done. Woo! We like that. We also note that this movement didn't come back down to the midpoint. So we are an expansionary price movement, so we wouldn't expect the midpoint of this to be disrespected. It very well could wick through, but as it stands right now, I mean, my goodness. Morning, Gregory. Short squeeze got me. This one? Yeah, this was a little concerning, and then the 5-minute expansionary. I can understand that, but I wouldn't have been. I mean, if this movement failed, then I'd be looking at the lows, or at least, back down into here. Otherwise, this is the danger we run into. If it's responsible for breaking this internal high, it's only a few more points until reaching the previous zone objective. Yes, but it's also a break in structure. I'm at work, so no trades yet. My condolences, my friend. Right? So if you have a structural move, right, and you get a flip here, and all it does is send you back up into this, and then it comes down, you're still technically bearish. That's when we kind of look at these flips as not being, like, you wouldn't want to take this long here, right? But if you have something that goes on like this, and the flip happens and it also breaks structure, now you're expecting this retracement to continue higher. Good morning, Nisnos. Did that give us one? 90.25, 90.25. Technically, that did not. I looked at that and I was like, that's go time. But even that didn't close above. So if that would have created like a valid low, then this is like a A+ opportunity to just buy there and expect some sort of a lift. VWAP bands, yeah. Still looking for this. Oh, that's all right, man. This should break structure. We're having a hell of a time doing it, but it should. Kicking and screaming, but I will not be going long up in here for that move, even though I think it's a decent probability given how price is reacting. Right, these violent movements, to me, is of a higher time frame. You only have a couple of attempts. I wouldn't even really consider this an attempt to reverse the trend. This is spike sideways and then just kind of grinding. Yeah, I think so as well. I think so as well. There's your 15 on ES showing. Did it take London lows? 54.75, 54.75. Double bottom. What a prick. Right? I think if it doesn't fly, it means it wants to maybe sweep out some more liquidity. Who knows? This isn't a valid structural area, so even if it does sweep it out, it's not like it's going to do anything. Still nothing. This is going to be a dirty flip if it happens. Back down into an internal movement. And you can make the argument on both sides too, like, well, we're still technically bearish until this high breaks. And we're getting a flip in the midpoint of this zone. Now this has already been taken, so I'm leaning bullish because this respected here, put in a new low, that makes sense. But what happened with this one? Traded up to it, sideways, and then rallied. Right, so we're sweeping out this liquidity here at 705. Back down into our area of interest. You're talking about like this internal pullback that created a valid high in here that then broke? Yeah, this is kind of the area that we would expect to break this. This one? If it breaks from this consolidation, will this be the area to... Oh, you're talking about like if this does this, like what we risk off of here? I think we'll probably get like a double bottom in this. This first tap should break structure. Okay. Just gauging what kind of reaction we get from this now. Morning, Donna. Very, very violent so far, obviously. I don't really want to see this mitigated. I want to see expansion now. At least through 700 and then determining what happens in here where it shoved us lower. I am long. I think if this candle remains where it is, that I'm going to have my stop underneath it. Be a little annoying if they swept it out, but expecting this area to provide some relief. A little bit more than what we've got, mind you, but here we are. And ultimately, I think this high is going to go, but here's 700, good. Creating a valid low would be ideal. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Nice, Nisnos. Come on, lads, push this. Ooh, that's rough. Moment of truth. Expand or we die. Yeah, she's having trouble with this low, which I don't like, but this is holding this area, which I really like. This is not the reaction that I wanted from the short side, right? So I think that that we should get a little bit of a lift. Here we go. Kicking and screaming is right. It's tapped into this candle, which is strong, right? We're getting some decent selling off of it, which is fine. Ultimately, I still think the highs go, which is our main draw and the main reason for being long in this. But she's got to lift here, otherwise we're in trouble. People are fighting this to lift, for sure. And if it expands bearishly, it's going to be very, very violent. Ideally, we want ES to lift as well above the AM highs, which would give NQ a little bit of a boost, at least to the 16s or so. Oh, that's so dirty. Here's your 5. Nice expansionary movement, but not good. So far, anyway. DTF accounts. I think they're obviously beautiful if you're able to hit the $600 consistency payout, or consistency for the payout, I should say. Taking more liquidity. ES still hanging out. Kind of waiting to see whereabouts this gets swept down to. A lot of urgency coming in from the bearish side. We're going to see if it can deal with this low and then trade back in or not, but this isn't looking good for bulls. Especially with price speeding up here. We're going to find out what goes on very, very quickly. Beautiful. This is having a really rough time. Sweeping now this major 5-minute low. If they can complete that sweep, then we fly. Otherwise, I think the bulls are in a lot of trouble. No real buying that's come in yet. Right, I like this long a lot. I like that long a lot. We had a real difficult time validating, and then we flipped, traded back in and left, but wow, down it goes. Down it goes, 10:30. Will be interesting to see. ES is still chopping around in here. NQ, that was very, very surprising of a lift after this. But again, like Didn't break structure. Right? So area of interest rallied at least back up to here. We saw a ton of selling that came in. And here we are. Do I think that we get massive expansion? I don't think so today. Right? And only because we're getting these large movements underneath this daily low. Wild to me how ES is just hanging out here. Look at that 5-minute candle on NQ. Just dropped. Nearly 100 points. Yeah, I don't really... I like these daily lows as well. I think that had this broken, then I think we would have gotten a decent lift, at least up to London highs and maybe even beyond. You know, Asia engulfed London, so I think that's a very decent possibility that it went above 800. But we had to confirm. I'm working on my consistency. I have some good days, but my bad days kill my good days. Inside of those bad days, there's likely a trigger. Inside of those bad days, there's a trigger. And that trigger happens either when you have a trade go wrong. Perhaps the trade, like, how do I explain this? Well, I mean, if I digress a little bit even further, when we have trades go poorly, it usually sets off, in a lot of traders, it sets off a reaction that's pretty much like a chemical chain reaction. And what goes on is, say you take a loss trying to long here, and then you take a loss trying to long there, and then you take a loss or a win trying to hold here or whatever. But say you hit it short twice and maybe you get stopped out here, and then you avoid the shorts but you go long and then you get stopped out. Usually people that blow up will either do one of two things. You will either hold your trade for a lot longer than you should. A lot longer than you should. As in, maybe a contract long from 94 or something, and this ends up running all the way down to the lows and you take it out. And then with fear. Usually there's a different pattern. It could be one of a few different things for traders, but essentially what it is our brains look at the pain or the pleasure of trading, and we usually code it very, very early on in our careers based off of painful experiences. So somebody that, say, goes long here and takes it off very, very quickly. Usually that's very, very challenging for people, and the reason is because what you end up having is they will inevitably have had a trade where it's been violently down and it takes you out. And our brain attaches massive pain to that idea. And then what goes on is, because our brain doesn't want to feel that way again, right? That was very, very painful. And it goes, well, let's not do that again. So what's the meaning behind it? And attaches it something irrational, but it's got to find something. So what does it find? It says, take profits quickly. And that taking profits quickly for a lot of traders ends up that you have very, very good days when you're right. So you're long here, you make money. You're long here, you make money. You're long here, maybe you take a loss. And then all of a sudden, the days where we're wrong, that same mentality actually makes those days very, very, very bad. And no amount of conscious planning or anything of the like will be able to overwrite that. Just like people are looking at this violent short move. It's now taking this low. We got to change the order flow here coming in. People will likely be shorting. I think that if it's going to short at all, it's going to come back up to 90 and then go. But we'll see. Are we inside of the midpoint of this? Not quite yet, but close. She is violent. Yeah, so look back on the bad days and see where exactly it went wrong. But more importantly, it's not the trade, right? It's not the trade. It's the build-up leading to it. So let's say that, I don't know, somebody was short here, and they added heavily with size here and here, and then they ended up getting stopped out there. Or they took it off, and then I don't know, they shorted here and get stopped out with whatever was left in their account. Let's use that as a hypothetical example. It's not this short that needs to be looked at. You can find reasons to short anywhere or long anywhere. That's fine. What it is the build up to it. So it's the internal talk that goes on before that trade gets executed. That's where everything gets covered in. That's the big one. So pay attention before those trades occur. And it might not be as clear, and this might this might take a little bit of introspection. Very, very surprising day on NQ. 170 points, pretty much straight down. It looks like we're going to take these daily lows after all. I didn't position myself for that. I liked how ES was holding up, but there's some major divergence here, which in retrospect, and obviously hindsight's 2020, Jackson Hole is very likely the culprit for that. Very, very likely the culprit for that. These major divergences, they're scaling in one way or the other. Here it comes. Just out of curiosity, let's have a look at this. Oh, yeah. Well, decent rally right off of that. That's fair. It's probably a decent one if we look at like this. Would be my guess. Yeah. So 2.5, rallies up. Markets are extremely mathematical, aren't they? Yeah. Yeah, so essentially, like, how do we break a habit? If that's your habit. Right? And it starts with the subconscious, obviously. You got to have a strong enough reason why. You got to have drive. But how fast can we change if we want to? How fast? How fast can we rewrite our story? Literally that quick. We'll see if this gets held up in here, then we probably continue on 596. Change can happen as fast or as slow as you guys desire. That goes for everybody, really. This is a valid low. It's already traded up into our area of interest, in fairness. But we'll see if it has to trade up any further before taking the daily or not. I didn't take this short. I think that would have been valid, but I was looking for a little bit higher at minimum. I think this will be a very interesting area if it does decide to flip. That's a big if. 10:42, you get a new 5-minute candle in about 2 minutes. Be shocked if there wasn't a ton of buying that came in here, even if they did want to run them out. This is going to be a 5-minute low as well. Right, but this was a likely inducement right before, and then we see what goes on. It very well could trade up to 605 at minimum, and then come back down. But we'll be patient. Morning, Dilly. My goodness. ES now ran the low. This is your new 15. So we did leave that, unfortunately. I would have much rather that swept. And this very well could, and then trade back through. At what point do you look at this and you go, I'm not really interested in longing? And that's essentially when the best time to buy is, whether we like it or not. Have you guys used the risk settings on Tradeovate? Max daily loss and profit targets. Yeah, Rhythmic's rough with that because it'll still allow you to take trades. I haven't used it with the firm specifically, if I'm honest. I don't like how that 5 and the 15 haven't swept yet. It very well could end up being an hourly, who knows, but you got 13 minutes left, so you got to be leaning a little bit more on the bearish side, but I can't do anything like that now. Right? I would have considered something in here, but that's about it. If this ends up being an inversion afterwards, then you probably have a decent idea. You got 18 seconds left on that candle. I don't like the 15, if I'm honest, but I think that we need to rally given this week and everything else that's aligned with it. But the market doesn't care what it needs to do, obviously. Okay, so that did technically invert. Just watching to see if there's any sort of reaction from this, given how violent it is, and I'm happy that I did, as this is not behaving very nicely. And the pause came from the 15-minute and the 5 not being swept. Right? So we got an hourly low in about 12 minutes, if that even ends up being the low. I don't even think that traded into that area of interest. In fairness, this already tapped into it, but that's neither here nor there. Insanity. Wonder what they're coming out with tomorrow. Woo. Yeah, I would have considered it. Had this like reacted to it, then I think we take this high. So I didn't need to be early with it at 89 or something like that. Right, this 15 and the 5 is now technically being swept. So we're going to wait and see what goes on. Right, you will have a bearish hourly candle unless something insane happens. Yeah, could be. Absolutely could be. And depending on your viewpoint, this is either a stall candle or it's a continuation. For me, I think the hourly is rough. If the 15 had swept inside the first, say, 20 minutes of the hour, then I'd be a lot more interested in taking something like this for the hourly to run. As it stands right now, like I would expect this 15 to close bearish. The hourly sweeps if we're going to rally. And that's not to suggest this hourly can't open and just drive higher. Right? There's a very real possibility for that. But if you're looking at systematic reasons of taking trades, it's not there's not much in here at all. $52. We'll see. I think that people did go long here and got clapped. So we'll see if that mitigates and then heads lower, what it's going to do. I think I'm hands off short, even though our direction is very strong. That doesn't mean that I'm long biased, but I'm waiting to see if there's anything that comes in. Ooh, they are scaling in for sure. I think that this hourly open is going to be very, very interesting. Again, this area of interest, that's violent. That could have ran everybody out. We're now trading back in. This will be similar to what we talked about earlier. Major reaction from this and a flip. Well, now we're in trouble. That would likely be something like this again, I believe. We've taken daily lows. So this is sort of stretch targets from this morning. A lot of people will look at this area as being termination, and I think they should as well. So we'll see what goes on. New 5-minute candle opening in about 30 seconds. No giveaways today. Giveaway tomorrow. Right? So this very well could be the shorter CSD rather than having to flip up here. Now our flip is this high at 97. Otherwise, we just continue short. New 5-minute. 15 looking good, but we'll see. People will look at this inversion. That one didn't work out too well. This one working out much, much nicer so far. This one here. But I think we'll wait for something a little bit higher. And people will look at, you know, you got your 2-minute. Is there an inversion there? Well, maybe there is. Maybe people will look at this one. Now it align with the flip as well. So I'd be interested in the long if that happened. Problem is the timing as well. You got the hourly. So if this flipped and then the hourly traded back in, that's going to be a very, very aggressive sort of trade. This isn't a structural pullback, so that's not a break in structure technically. I think our structural high is still this one. Yeah, literally, hey? Not a lot that I really, really liked. More violence coming in from that 5-minute high. This is really our range candle, so we're really trying to determine if this low is weak or strong, and then we trade up to here or not. This area will be the decision maker of that, but I'm not going long just yet. Literally. So I don't know if you guys noticed last week, but I think if we give away 4 accounts weekly, what's going to happen is 2 of those, so 1 each day, are going to be given to you guys that are here in the morning, not for all the people that join the stream later on. Violent 15 closing, weak 5-minute closing, very, very weak. And all of a sudden, all the analysis we did on the hourly as well. So there's your 2 minutes, still didn't invert. All you guys that like to switch between multiple time frames. There it is. Man, oh man. Currently watching? No, I don't think so. I can see who's typing. Like even people that were typing when this started 86 minutes ago. Mercy. Look at this. Here's your hourly open. Oh. Man, where are we going to, lads? Can we really hit that today? I don't really think so, but we got a little ways to, I think ultimately we probably will head down there. I don't know if that'll be today or not, 400s. But this is very surprising. Just death is right. Still no buying, really. No kidding. Man. From here, 750. That's a retire day. Twitter is going to be ripe with it. First attempt to make a valid low. Pretty much. And that's the whole point. What's everybody looking at right now? Well, it's been violently selling off for the last hour. Didn't hit it here, didn't hit it here. So anything that comes up, let's short. And this is what ends up happening. Right? Violent, trades back in. Maybe we missed it, maybe we didn't. Trades back in. Let's get this. Nope. Here we are. Worth noting, this is not a structural zone. Our structural zone is actually all the way up here. So we'll see what kind of price action we get out of this. In reality, this is your 1 minute inversion. Right? You get a 5 minute, a 15, and an hourly sweep. So I think this is major danger now for shorts. At the very least, I think that if this does stab back down into here, and it actually respects that, you've got a very clear target of 57 as well. Even if we only trade back up into this and then go on a rocket ship down and continue on. Oh, 15 seconds. Come on, lads. Get back into here. You got an imbalance here as well. Or, sorry, a liquidity void, which would be nasty. If this ends up being bullish, it could just run, but I'm not involved. Oh, it's a candle and a half, isn't it? And we'll see. There's our 5-minute imbalance. In fairness, 15 minutes, gotta hold. We want that to be bullish, otherwise this is going to be a short trip. Punch it. Punch it, punch it, punch it. Got to take this high at least, 53.5. And we're looking for explosion. Gotta go now. Gotta go now. Left. $20 seconds left on this candle. We'll see. Dirty, 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 dirty. Tap the midpoint of the current swing. So major caution if you guys are still involved. This is not the ideal situation where we've got that much selling pressure above us. Somebody's going to get wrecked here. Somebody's going to get wrecked here for sure. Could be longs. In fact, it looks like it's going to be longs. What a prick of a market. We'll see. If it closes underneath it, then I'll take this off for a loss. That's just gross. Otherwise, I think it's just sweeping everybody out and then running. Giveaways tomorrow. Giveaways tomorrow. Not good. Not good. Just no relief. Thought that hourly sweep would have done it. The 15-minute still going bearish. Taking this off here for the loss. Okay. All right. We'll run it back tomorrow. We'll see. This might still hold down here and rally. What I really don't like is that this, I did want it a little bit higher. We still haven't traded into this area of interest at all. So this is a little bit surprising to me how it's just so violently strong. But it very well could still hold this and then run. If you guys have your stops properly, you're probably underneath 19s. And yeah, we'll see you guys later on. I'm going to take this off here. Bye, 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 bye.